From the depths of antiquity, a name resurfaces. Baal. A deity of thunder, fertility, and power, once revered, then condemned. Now, whispers link this ancient entity not just to historical religious narratives, but to the most unsettling modern controversies. Jeffrey Epstein. The name alone conjures images of dark secrets, elite networks, and profound unanswered questions. How could an ancient warning from sacred texts intersect with a scandal of our time? A strange connection, seemingly impossible. Yet, online communities persist. They draw lines, connect symbols. What lies beneath these claims? A truth hidden, or merely a pattern sought where none exists? We begin in the very distant past. For centuries, the Quran has carried a stark warning against Baal. In its verses, the story of Prophet Ilyas, known in other traditions as Elijah, unfolds. He confronted a people consumed by the worship of Baal, urging them back to the one God. The Quran describes this encounter with profound gravity, portraying Baal worship as a grave deviation, an act of polytheism and transgression against divine unity. It's a narrative of spiritual struggle, a confrontation between truth and falsehood. The message is unequivocal: Baal is a false god. A profound denouncement, echoed across generations. The Quran's account isn't merely historical, it serves as an eternal admonition. It highlights the futility of worshipping anything other than the singular, all-encompassing Creator. The narrative surrounding Ilyas and Baal is potent, serving as a cautionary tale against idolatry and the deification of natural forces or human constructs. It questions the very essence of such worship, challenging its rationale and revealing its inherent emptiness. This rejection is central to Islamic theology, emphasizing submission to God alone. No ambiguity. A clear, decisive condemnation. What, then, was this entity that provoked such a powerful divine warning? To understand the condemnation, we must understand the worshipped. Baal was not one singular deity, but rather a title, meaning lord or master, applied to various gods across the ancient Near East. Predominantly, he was the chief god of the Canaanites, a powerful storm and fertility deity whose influence stretched across what is now Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Israel. His worship was deeply interwoven with the agricultural cycles and the very survival of these societies. Life, death, abundance, scarcity, all were attributed to Baal's dominion. An immense, pervasive power. His presence dominated the spiritual landscape of an entire region. Baal's primary epithet was Baal-Hadad, the storm god. He was depicted wielding a thunderbolt, often standing atop a bull, symbolizing strength and fertility. His domain was the sky, the rain, and the life-giving storms that nourished the arid lands. Without Baal's favor, crops would fail, herds would wither, and communities would face famine. His cult promised prosperity, abundance, and protection. He was believed to engage in cosmic battles, conquering chaos and ensuring the regularity of the seasons. A protector. A provider. A force to be appeased. Life itself seemed to hinge on his benevolence. Worship of Baal involved elaborate rituals, often taking place on high places, elevated altars under open skies. These ceremonies could include animal sacrifices, offerings of food and drink, and various forms of supplication intended to secure the deity's favor. Some ancient texts, particularly those criticizing Baal worship from monotheistic perspectives, even hint at practices involving child sacrifice, though archaeological evidence for widespread practice remains debated. The intensity of devotion was undeniable. People sought connection, intervention, assurance. The desperation for good harvests, for healthy offspring, drove fervent displays of faith. What lengths would they go to? As the Phoenicians, skilled mariners and traders, expanded their influence across the Mediterranean, so too did the cult of Baal. From the Levant, his worship spread to their colonies, including the powerful city-state of Carthage in North Africa. Here, Baal took on new localized forms, such as Baal-Hamon, a senior god often associated with sun and fertility. The spread of Baal worship underscores its adaptability and profound significance to the cultures that embraced it. He was not confined to one land. His influence traversed vast distances, adapting, evolving, enduring for centuries. A truly widespread phenomenon. Yet, even powerful gods eventually fade. The decline of Baal worship was gradual, influenced by geopolitical shifts, the rise of new empires, and the eventual triumph of monotheistic religions. The Persian Empire, Hellenistic influences, and finally, the dominance of Christianity and Islam, systematically eroded the prominence of older pagan cults. Baal, once a central figure in the spiritual lives of millions, slowly receded into the annals of history, becoming little more than a name in ancient texts and archaeological records. For millennia, he remained a historical footnote. A fading echo. Until now. Why this sudden re-emergence? Centuries later, Baal finds himself revived not on ancient altars, but within the sprawling, chaotic realm of the internet. Online communities, driven by a thirst for answers, a distrust of established narratives, and a fascination with hidden truths, began to unearth this forgotten god. YouTube channels, forums, and social media groups became digital high places, where fragmented information and tantalizing theories were shared, amplified, and woven into intricate tapestries of belief. The questions began small. Then they grew. And a pattern, however tenuous, began to emerge. A pattern of suspicion. The human mind seeks patterns. It seeks meaning in symbols. Ancient iconography, once understood in its original context, can be reinterpreted, reimagined, even weaponized, in new narratives. The bull, the thunderbolt, the obelisk elements once associated with Baal are now scrutinized for their appearance in modern architecture, corporate logos, or ceremonial art. Is it merely coincidence? Or a hidden language? Conspiracy narratives thrive on such perceived connections, finding significance in the smallest details, drawing profound conclusions from superficial resemblances. The power of a symbol. Its ability to evoke, to suggest, to imply without explicit statement. A potent tool. Then came Jeffrey Epstein. His arrest, the horrifying details of his crimes, and the subsequent web of powerful associates, created a vacuum of public trust. Into this void rushed numerous theories. His private island, Little St. James, nicknamed Pedophile Island by locals, became a focal point. Reports and aerial images showed a peculiar structure, a white and gold striped temple-like building. A structure that, to some, bore an unsettling resemblance to ancient altars or temples dedicated to obscure deities. The speculation began. Could this be a modern manifestation? A hidden homage to something ancient and malevolent? A dark thought. The temple on Little St. James became central to the Baal connection. Its distinctive blue and white stripes, capped with a golden dome, were immediately dissected by online sleuths. Some argued its design mirrored ancient Near Eastern architecture, or even specific elements associated with fertility cults. The structure's ambiguous purpose, described variously as a music room or meditation space by official accounts, only fueled the fire. For those seeking a deeper, more sinister truth, it was clear this was no ordinary building. It was a statement. A symbolic gateway. A place for forbidden rituals, echoing practices from a forgotten past. What else could it be? As these theories gained traction, Baal often became conflated with Moloch, another ancient Near Eastern deity frequently associated with child sacrifice in biblical texts. While distinct entities historically, in online narratives, their identities often merge. The perceived connections to Epstein's crimes, particularly against minors, found a terrifying parallel in the ancient accusations of child sacrifice leveled against Moloch. This conflation amplifies the horror, making the ancient warnings seem chillingly relevant. It paints a picture of a continuous, unbroken line of depravity, rooted in ancient cults and manifested in modern elites. A powerful, disturbing fusion. Conspiracy theories often operate on a particular logic: nothing is random, everything is connected, and powerful forces are always at play. The Epstein saga, with its opaque networks and unanswered questions, provided fertile ground. The ancient warnings against Baal, interpreted as a symbol of power, greed, and moral corruption, offered a historical framework. It suggested that evil, in its purest form, has an ancient lineage, manifesting through different eras but retaining its core essence. This framework provides a sense of understanding, of pattern, in a world that often feels chaotic and unjust. It provides an answer. Simple. Compelling. But is it true? Here lies the critical distinction. Verified historical and religious texts clearly condemn Baal worship. This is a fact. The existence of ancient Baal cults, their practices, and their eventual decline are also historically documented. These are facts. But the leap from historical fact to linking Baal symbolism directly to Jeffrey Epstein and his associates is purely speculative. No credible, verified evidence has emerged from law enforcement investigations, journalistic inquiries, or court proceedings to substantiate these claims. The temple on Epstein's Island, while unusual, has no confirmed ritualistic purpose connected to Baal. It remains a building, not an altar. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence, some might argue. Yet, in critical analysis, a clear distinction must be maintained. While the Quran warns against false deities and historical accounts detail ancient worship practices, there is a substantial void when it comes to concrete links between these ancient practices and the specific actions or symbols associated with Jeffrey Epstein. The claims remain within the realm of interpretation, suspicion, and theoretical connections, rather than verifiable fact. They exist in the shadows, nurtured by unanswered questions and profound distrust. But shadows, however compelling, are not substance. So, why do these connections persist so powerfully? The human need to make sense of the senseless. The desire to believe that monstrous acts are not random, but part of a grander, hidden design, often rooted in ancient evil. Connecting Epstein to Baal provides a powerful narrative, one that imbues modern depravity with historical weight and cosmic significance. It simplifies complexity. It provides an enemy, tangible and ancient. It allows for a moral certainty in a deeply uncertain world. It is, perhaps, a coping mechanism. A way to process unimaginable horror by giving it a familiar, archetypal face. An ancient face. The Quran's warning about Baal was clear: forsake false gods, reject idolatry, uphold divine unity. Historically, Baal represented a challenge to monotheism, embodying earthly power and material obsession. While fascinating, the attempt to directly link this ancient warning to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, through ambiguous symbolism and unverified architectural interpretations, fundamentally misses the true nature of the Quranic admonition. The real warning is not about a specific, re-emergent cult, but about the timeless human temptation to worship anything other than the Creator. To elevate material gain, power, or self-interest above all else. This is the true, enduring lesson.